This is the second part of solving SQL interview questions from LeetCode. In this video also, we will solve multiple questions from LeetCode. The first question is primary department for each employee. So let us go through the question first. We have a table called as employee. It has three columns: employee ID, department ID, and primary flag. The data type is integer for both the ID columns, and primary flag column is variable character. And employee ID department ID is the primary key, that is a combination of columns with unique value. So this can be considered as a composite key for this table. Employee ID is the ID of employees, department ID is the ID of department to which the employee belongs. Primary flag is an NU category of type Y or N. If the flag is Y, the department is the primary department for the employee, and if the flag is N, the department is not the primary department. An employee can belong to multiple departments. When the employee join other department, they need to decide which department is their primary department. Note that when an employee belongs to only one department, their primary column is N. So this is an important point to consider in this question. That is, when an employee belongs to only one department, their primary column is N. That is, their primary flag will be N. Now we have to write a solution to report all the employees with their primary department. For employees who belongs to one department, report their only department. So now we have to write a query to show what are the primary department of each employees. Also, it is given that for employees who belongs to only one department, we have to report that department even though their primary flag is N. Return the result table in any order. The result format is as following example. So there is a sample input and output given. Let us take a look at that also. So this is the sample input table which has employee ID, department ID, primary flag column, and employee ID and department IDs are mapped along with their primary flag, and this is our output table which has employee ID and department ID. So if I take the example of one employee, that is employee ID is 1, the department ID is 1, and the employee ID corresponding to 1 does not have any other record, and their primary flag is N, which means this should be considered as the primary department or their home department. Then considering employee 2 has two different records, but the two different records are having two different primary flags. So we can take the record for which Y as the primary department. That is, for employee 2, 1 is the primary department. So if we come to the expected output, we can see that for employee 2, 1 is the primary department, and for employee 1, department ID 1 is the primary department even though the primary flag is N. So now we have to start writing the query and see how we can execute that. Here we can actually split the query into two parts, where in the first part actually we will take or consider only the employees for which we have a primary flag Y. So let us write that query first. Select, we want employee underscore ID, department ID. Now this is taken from the table employee, and we have to put a filter condition using the where clause, where primary flag is Y. So we wrote the first part of this query. Now let us put this query inside a CTE, that is T1. This is our first CTE. Now for the second condition, where the employee has only one department or employee is assigned only to single department and where the primary flag is N, that case we have to write a second CTE, that is T2 as inside this CTE we will write the query, that is select employee underscore ID. Now we'll use a aggregate function which is max department underscore ID, and we'll give the name as department underscore ID. Now this is also taken from the employee table. So after from clause, we will give a group by clause, that is group by employee ID, since we are using the aggregate function in the select clause. Employee underscore ID. Now we have to use a having clause in order to filter records for which there is only one count for an employee. That is having count of star as, no, we don't have to give any as, having count of star equal 1. So this should give us the result, and after this we have to write a union clause with the result from both the CTEs, that is select star from T1 union select star from T2. Now this should give us the result. Let us execute this and see if the solution is accepted. Yeah, so our solution is accepted. Now let us move on to our second question. The second question is triangle judgment. So in this question, we have a table called as triangle, and the triangle table is having three columns. The first column is X, second is Y, and third is Z. And the type of three columns are integer. In SQL, XYZ is the primary key column for this table. Each row of this table contains the length of three line segments. So each of these columns contain length of certain line segments. Now the question is report for every line segment, every three line segments, whether they can form a triangle. Return the result table in any order. The result format is in the following example. So here we have to find that if that three line segments can form a triangle. So that is the question here. So in order to solve this question, actually we need to know one condition, which is three line segments can form a triangle or a valid triangle only if the condition satisfies. The condition is the sum of two sides should be greater than the third side. So if I take an example here, x plus y should be greater than z, then y plus z should be greater than x, and x plus z should be greater than y. If this condition is satisfied, only then the three line segments can form a valid triangle. This is the condition we have to apply here. Now taking the example input, triangle table xyz, and the output is xyz plus a new column, which is the triangle column, which specifies either the three line segments can form a triangle or not. So from the condition which I have explained, we can see that 13 plus 15 is 28, which is less than 30. So that is not a valid condition. So that three line segments cannot form a triangle. And coming down, 10 plus 20 is 30, which is greater than 15. Then 20 plus 15 is 35, which is greater than 10. Then 10 plus 15 is 25, which is greater than 20. Now that is a valid condition, and this instance or this row can form a valid triangle. So let us see how we can get this output. Select, we want all the columns from the input table, comma. Now we are going to write a case statement. Case 1, x plus y greater than z, and x plus z greater than y, and the third condition is y plus z greater than x, then answer should be yes. Else the answer is no, it cannot form a valid triangle, and the column name is triangle. Triangle, and this is from the table triangle. Now let us execute and see if we have the right result. Yeah, so our solution is accepted and we have the right result. Our third question is fix names in a table. We have a table called as users table. The user table is having two columns, which is user ID, which is of integer data type, and the second column is name, which is of variable character data type. And the user ID is the primary key for the table, that is the column with unique values for this table. This table contains ID and the name corresponding to that particular ID. The name consists of only lowercase and uppercase characters. Now we have to write a solution to fix the names so that only the first character is uppercase and the rest are lowercase. Return the result table ordered by user ID. The result format is in the following example. So now let us take a look at the sample input and output. This is the user table with two instances or rows, and the names are not formatted correctly. Now we have to format this name in such a way that the first character is uppercase and all other characters are lowercase. Similarly, for all names in the table, we have to format it in such a way that the first character is uppercase and all other characters are lowercase. So this is a question of data pre-processing basically. We usually does this during data pre-processing stage. Now let us start writing the query for the same. We'll write a select clause first. We want user ID. Now we want to format the name. For that we are going to use concat function, left function, right function, and length function. Now let us first convert the first character of that name into uppercase. For that we will use, sorry, yeah, we will use left from the name column, name comma 1. That is, we are taking the first character from the name column. That is the leftmost first character from the name column. Now let us put a upper function and put this entire function inside the upper function parenthesis. Now we have to use a second function which is the right function. Right, that is we have to take all the characters apart from the first character. That is the name comma, then we will use a length function, length of name minus 1. So this function will fetch all the characters apart from the first character from the name column. Now we have to concat both this and then that will give us the desired output. Now we will put a comma after this first function. We will use a concat function. We will put the entire equation or function inside the concat and we will give a name as name, and this is from the table users. Also, one more condition is given in the question, that is result table should be ordered by user ID. Order by user underscore ID. Now let us run this and see if we have the desired output. Yeah, we have the wrong result because we haven't converted the right characters into lowercase. So we have to use one more function in this query, which is the lower function. Open and close parenthesis. Put this second part inside the lower function. Now this will give us the result. Yeah, so now our solution is accepted. We have the desired output and our names are converted into camel case with first character in uppercase and all other characters in lowercase. Now let us move on to our fourth question. So our fourth question is find users with valid email IDs. We have a user table and user table is having three columns. The first column is user ID, second is name, and the third one is mail. The user ID column is integer, name and mail are variable character columns. User ID is the primary key column with unique values for this table. This table contains information of the users signed up in a website. So emails are, and also it is given that some emails are invalid. Write a solution to find the users who have valid email IDs. And the condition for valid email ID is given below, which is a valid email ID has a prefix name and a domain where the prefix name is a string that may contain letters, upper or lowercase, digits, underscore, period, dash, and all these characters, if they are included in the prefix, it can be considered valid. The prefix name must start with letter. So this is the condition for prefix. Now the domain name should be at leetcode.com. So this should be the domain name. Return the result table in any order and the result format is in the following example. So this is our sample input table and our output table should contain valid email IDs. Now let us start writing the query for the same. So we want in our output select star from users table and we have to write a where condition where we specify the condition for mail which is specified here with the like function in SQL. So this is the condition that we are going to specify here, that is where mail like all the characters within this limit. That is, characters can be starting with a to z, that is lowercase a to z, and characters can start also with uppercase a to z. That is, it is given that the prefix name must start with a letter. So that is the condition that is specified here, and it can be followed by any other characters, and the domain name should be at leetcode.com. So that is the condition specified with the first like clause. And in the second like clause, it is given that male not like, this character specifies that any character not within the particular range or within this characters, that is not belonging to a to z lowercase, not belonging to a to z uppercase, not belonging to 0 to 9, and all other characters which are underscore, period, and dash. And also it is given that it is not like, and it should not start with any other characters except the valid character, which is the letters. That is, the prefix name should start with letters. And also in both the cases we have considered the second condition, which is the domain is at leetcode.com. Now let us run this query and see if we have the desired output. Yeah, now our solution is accepted and we have the desired output. Now moving on to our fifth question. Patients with a condition. We have a table patients and it has three columns: the patient ID, patient name, and conditions. Patient ID is integer, patient name and condition are variable characters. Patient ID is the primary key column for this table. Conditions contain 0 or more code separated by spaces, and this table contains information of the patient in the hospital. Write a solution to find the patient ID, patient name, and condition of the patients who have type 1 diabetes. Type 1 diabetes always starts with DIAB1 prefix. Return the result table in any order. The result format is in the following example. So here also we have to write this query using a like clause. So let us see how we can write that. We will write a select clause. We will use star since we need all the columns from the input table, and we are taking this data from patients table. And now we have to write a where clause where we specify the condition using like clause. So we are taking the column condition, which is the conditions column, and the first condition is like, it should start with diab1, and in the beginning or as a prefix it can have any other strings or conditions. So if I take this George as an example, the first condition specified for George is ACNE. Then we have a space, after that it is specified DAB100. So that is the condition we have considered with the first like clause. And in the second like clause we have considered using an or conditions like, it should start with DIAB1 and can be followed by any other character. That is the condition we saw with Bob. It is starting with diabetes condition, which is DIAB100, and it can be followed by any other character. Now let us run this and see if we have the result. Yeah, so our solution is accepted and our query is valid. Now we have completed solving 5 more interview questions from LeetCode. If you find this video helpful, like and subscribe our channel. Thank you.